Picture this: 17th century Netherlands, the Dutch Golden Age, trade is booming, art is flourishing, and a single flower bulb is worth more than a house. This isn't a fantasy novel. This is the incredible true story of Tulip Mania, the world's first recorded speculative bubble. And trust me, it's a wild ride of greed, deception, and financial ruin that holds powerful lessons for us even today. So how did a simple flower from the mountains of Central Asia become the ultimate luxury item in Europe? It all started when tulips were introduced to the Netherlands in the late 16th century. Their vibrant, intense colors were unlike anything Europeans had ever seen. They were exotic, they were beautiful, and they quickly became a status symbol for the ultra-wealthy. Owning rare tulips was the 17th century equivalent of parking a supercar in your driveway. At first, this was a hobby for rich botanists and aristocrats. But soon, the rising prices caught the attention of ordinary merchants, craftsmen, and even sailors. Everyone wanted a piece of the action. The problem was, tulips take a long time to grow from seed up to 7 years. But a mature bulb produces offspring, or smaller bulbs, every year. So the bulbs themselves became the traded commodity. This is where things started to get crazy. The demand for tulips, especially the rare varieties with multicolored patterns known as broken tulips, far outstripped the supply. We now know these stunning patterns were caused by a virus, but back then it was a beautiful mystery that made them incredibly valuable. Prices began to climb slowly at first, and then exponentially. Soon, a formal futures market developed. People weren't just trading actual tulip bulbs anymore. They were trading paper contracts for bulbs that were still in the ground. This allowed for rapid-fire speculation. You could buy a contract for a bulb in the morning and sell it for a profit in the afternoon, without ever laying eyes on the flower. Sound familiar? It's basically the stock market, but for flowers. This is where the brokers and market manipulators, the so-called florists, entered the scene. These were clever middlemen who saw an opportunity to get rich, and they weren't always playing fair. They set up shop in local taverns, turning them into bustling trading floors. To lure in unsuspecting buyers, they would employ all sorts of psychological tricks. Imagine walking into a smoky tavern. A well-dressed broker greets you, buying you a drink. He casually mentions that a certain type of tulip, maybe the legendary Semper Augustus, just sold for a fortune. He shows you charts, not unlike the stock charts we see today, showing a relentless upward trend. He tells you stories of chimney sweeps and weavers who became millionaires overnight. The message was clear: you're missing out. The fear of missing out, or FOMO, is a powerful motivator, and these brokers were masters at exploiting it. They also used classic market rigging strategies. A group of brokers would secretly agree to buy and sell a particular bulb among themselves at increasingly higher prices. This created the illusion of massive demand and a skyrocketing value. An outsider, seeing this rapid price increase, would jump in, hoping to catch the wave. Once the outsider bought the bulb at an inflated price, the ring of brokers would cash out, leaving the new owner holding a very expensive and now worthless flower bulb. They would also spread rumors. A whisper in the right ear that a wealthy nobleman was looking to buy up all the viceroy. Tulips could send its price soaring. Conversely, a rumor that a new shipment of bulbs was arriving from Turkey could cause a panic sell-off. They were creating their own reality, manipulating information to control the market. At the peak of the mania, in the winter of 1636 to 1637, the prices were simply absurd. A single bulb of Semper Augustus was valued at over 5,000 guilders. To put that in perspective, a skilled craftsman at the time earned about 300 guilders a year. A luxurious house in Amsterdam could be bought for the same price. People traded their life savings, their homes, their businesses, all for the promise of getting rich from tulips. It was a nationwide gambling fever. Stories from the time are almost unbelievable. There is a famous tale of a sailor who mistook a valuable tulip bulb for an onion and ate it with his lunch, only to be thrown in jail for destroying property worth more than his entire ship's cargo. While some of these stories might be exaggerated, they capture the absolute madness of the period. But as with every bubble, it was destined to pop. The turning point came in February 1637 in the city of Haarlem. An auction was held for a collection of tulips. But for the first time, there were no buyers. Not at the high prices, not at lower prices, not at any price. The confidence that had fueled the entire market vanished in an instant. The news spread like wildfire. Panic ensued. Everyone tried to sell it once, but there was nobody to sell to. The price of tulips plummeted, falling over 95% in just a few weeks. People who had been paper millionaires one day were bankrupt the next. Fortunes were wiped out overnight. The aftermath was a mess. People were stuck with contracts they couldn't honor. A buyer who had agreed to pay 3,000 guilders for a bulb that was now worth 30 was in an impossible position. The government tried to intervene, suggesting that contracts could be voided for a small fee, but it was too little, too late. The economic damage was done, and trust in the market was shattered. Many who had bet everything on the floral lottery lost it all, their lives destroyed by a flower. So was Tulip Mania just a bizarre historical fluke? Not at all. It was the first, but certainly not the last speculative bubble in history. From the South Sea bubble in the 18th century to the dot-com crash of 2000 and the crypto crazes of our own time, the pattern is strikingly similar. It all starts with a new, exciting asset with a great story. Then comes the initial price rise, attracting more and more investors. The media hypes it up, FOMO kicks in, and rational analysis goes out the window. People start believing this time it's different. Prices detach from any underlying value and are driven purely by the belief that someone else will pay more for it tomorrow. This is called the greater fool theory. Finally, confidence breaks, panic sets in, and the bubble bursts, leaving a trail of financial devastation. The brokers of 17th century Holland may not have had high-frequency trading algorithms, but their tactics of manipulation, rumor-mongering, and exploiting human psychology are timeless. They understood that markets are driven not just by numbers, but by emotions, specifically greed and fear. The story of Tulip Mania serves as a powerful cautionary tale. It reminds us that when it looks too good to be true, it probably is. It shows the danger of herd mentality and the importance of understanding the true value of what you're reinvesting in. Before you jump on the next big thing, remember the lessons from 400 years ago, when a nation went mad for a flower and fortunes were built and destroyed in the blink of an eye. Tulip Mania wasn't just about flowers. It was about human nature, greed, fear, hype, and the belief that this time is different. In 1637, people mortgaged homes, emptied savings, and bet their futures on a bulb that could rot in a cellar. When the market collapsed, it didn't just destroy fortunes. It shattered trust, friendships, and entire families. Nearly 4 centuries later, the pattern hasn't changed. The assets are different, but the psychology is the same. Every bubble starts with hope, grows with hype, and ends with heartbreak. So if this story teaches us anything, it's simple. Markets repeat, people don't learn. And history always whispers warnings, if we're willing to listen. Watch the next deep dive linked in the description. Subscribe to HistoroMystic, where the past exposes the future. See you in the next mystery. Thanks for watching. If you found this dive into history fascinating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more stories of mystery and history. See you next time.